from the oldest city in the USA, St. Augustine tonight, with our guest from Eclipse Recording Studios, Jim Stafford, from the Tasting Room, Chef Michael Lugo, and musical guest Duffy Bishop Band, and stand-up comic Daisy Tackett, with your host, Jorge Rivera.
We're here again. We're here again. Oh, yes, we are here again. Lordy, Lord, Lord. Wow, here we are for another show. As usual, look at the set by the Garrett Brothers Eclectic Home Decor. We also want to thank Tijuana Flats, who brought us a little Mexican you-know-what. You know, they came in at the last time because some of the caterers had problem with this date, because they are busy, and Tijuana Flats just came in and filled that vacuum. They had catered our first season 2 years ago, and when they saw me, they knew exactly who I was. You're the TV guy, you know? And I said, I need your help, you know? And so we had a little something to eat. I like to treat you with, and everyone, I think next week Salt Life will be bringing their stuff. Ooh. So everyone is, the community is just pouring in, and that is really wonderful. And you know, last week it was Ancient City Brewery, and they gave us so much beer. We're still serving some of that beer, so thank you again. I mean, hey, you get 2 shout-outs, you know. And so here we are. You know, they just found a python, boa constrictor, in the Everglades, 17 feet long, 140-some pounds. It's a female. So I guess in our species, we say females live longer. In their species, they are longer. Because 17 feet is, oh my Lord, would I want to run into something like that hiking in the Everglades? It's really bad. They have so many of them, of all types, from all over the world. That environment is just perfect for them. Another thing in the news was a black hole for the first time was photographed. Unfortunately, the black hole did not know, and so the picture looks like this. But no kidding around, if you look at the picture, it looks like a clown laughing. It has like a big smile in this red center. It looks like a smiling clown. I was really heartbroken that Hawkins is dead, that he who spent all his life behind these black holes and the mathematical theories behind it, that he never got to see this. And that's kind of a little, he didn't die very long ago. So it was kind of a heartbreak for a lot of people who now celebrate. It took 8 telescopes around the world, and they all had to have perfect weather, and everyone had to be ready, and it happened. It took years to arrange this. It took years. Now, another thing in the news is a report came in, and the #1 nation in the world that drinks beer, more beer than anyone, was the Czech Republic. They came in with 183 liters of beer a year. That's about 48 gallons. And that's quite a lot. You could drink it all at once and then say, I'm not going to drink for the rest of the year, you know. But I think that would put a lot of pressure on your bladder. So I wouldn't do that. I believe Austria came #2, and Germany came in #3. The Germans took the bronze this time. So it used to be for a long time that they were always #1. But the Czechs make them. If you talk to Germans and you tell them, other than German beer, what's your best beer? They'll always say the Czech Republic. It used to be Czechoslovakia, for those who did not update your atlases. It's been a while. Okay. Another thing in the news is Pininfarina. They're a new automaker, but a lot of the people behind it are old automakers, people who did Ferraris and Lamborghinis and McLarens, and they started this company, and they just produced this beautiful car. Production is not a prototype. It's electric. It does 0 to 60 in -2 seconds. It does 187 miles from 0 to under 12 seconds. It does a top speed of 217 miles, and it has the horsepower of 1,900 horses. Exactly. It's the most powerful car in the world. It's electric. It's the kind of car you need if you want to pick up the kids quick at school, drop them off. You don't have to worry about a cop cruiser coming on the side to pull over at 217 miles an hour. I don't think so. So that's amazing. Another news in the electric vehicle world is Aston Martin has a new electric Aston Martin. It does 600 horsepower. Does 0 to 60 in -4 seconds, and the rumor is that in the next James Bond movie, James will be driving this Aston electric vehicle. So that'll be really cool. I love James Bond. I love that whole franchise, Star Wars. I'm a sucker for all of that. But tonight we don't have anything electric. We have great guests. And our guests are Jim Stafford from Eclipse Recording Studio. We have from Michael's Tasting Room, Mr. Michael Lugo himself. Daisy Tackett, stand-up comic, and our band who's going to play right now, Duffy Bishop.
I'm gonna do what I want. 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 Nobody's gonna tell me I'm gonna do what I want. I'll eat spaghetti for breakfast. I don't care if it is a sin. For dinner I'll get all the ice cream I want. I'll never eat a lima bean again. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I want. Nobody gonna tell me I'm gonna do what I want. I'll jump in every mud puddle. I'll climb up every tree. I'll bring home all the stray cats and dogs. Let them sleep in the bed with me. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I want. Nobody's gonna tell me I'm gonna do what I want. Hey, go fly up to the moon. I'll travel around the world and be home before dark. But I ain't gonna clean my room. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I want. Nobody's gonna tell me I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I want. Well, I'm 6 years old. I'm gonna do what I want. Thank you.
We opened up last year in January. flosser broth. We have Jewish roots as well on my mother's side, so we do challah every Friday. That's available.
We're back. We're back. Wow. Duffy Bishop Band, you killed it. You killed it. You killed a lot of your fans out there. Any fans of Duffy Bishop out there? I'm gonna have a riot here. I gotta call the police. I find myself here with Jim Stafford. And for those of you who know him, he's the man behind the recording studio known as Eclipse. It's also known as a forensic center also, audio forensics, you would say?
Audio forensics, data forensics, mobile devices, and video forensics.
Wow, wow. So a lot of the bands, of course, and musicians, this is a city a little bit like Nashville. I mean, we have so many musicians. So I guess he gets to meet a lot of them, and a lot of them have questions and things like that. But I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jorge.
And it's wonderful to have you.
You make me feel very important.
So tell me now, your full name. What's your real name?
James Lee Stafford.
Oh, wow, James Lee Stafford. And you were born where?
Wichita Falls, Texas.
So you're a Texan.
I am, hook 'em horns.
And now, did you grow up in Texas?
No, I left there when I was 2, and we moved to Arizona, then we moved to Virginia, then we moved to Hawaii, then we moved back to Virginia, and then I came here 19 years ago.
Wow, that's almost like an army kid moving around.
Yeah, sort of. My dad worked for the government, but we were not military.
All right. And where would you say your childhood was among all those places?
Well, I'd say my formative years were middle school in Hawaii, because in the late 60s I got to see just phenomenal music, which is why I do what I do, which is why I get to work with folks like this wonderful group here. And Alex and I play in a band, and I've recorded them, and I've done sound for them many times, and they are some of the best you will ever see.
Yes, they are marvelous. They are marvelous. Yep. And so, did Hawaii have an impression on you growing up?
Big time. At 13 and 14, I was going and seeing groups like The Doors and Hendrix. I saw the very last Blind Faith concert ever in January of 1970. Creedence, Iron Butterfly.
Oh, wow.
I loved Iron Butterfly. That was something. But, it was just at a point in time when you really are starting to develop a little bit of who you're going to become. And I was very impressionable, and I was surrounded by all of this. And I got a guitar. I took 2 guitar lessons. The first one, he taught me Tiny Bubbles.
Oh, by Tiny Tim.
Yep. No. This is Don Ho.
Oh, Don Ho, that's right.
And well, at any rate, that never worked out. So, but I started playing Cream and Beatles and stuff. So.
That's rock there. That's that real hardcore rock at that time. And do you think? I lived in Hawaii 4 years, and I found that when you live there, it's like no other place.
Well, you and I talked about that briefly some time ago, and it is remarkable because you really do feel as if that, the word paradise, I think, is so, has so many connotations to so many people, but it really defines what it's like to live there. Right. And it's like, the weather varies, 15 degrees.
Right.
And, you can go to the windward side or you can go to the leeward side, but you're going to get wonderful beaches.
Water's always warm.
Yeah,
always, all year round.
And I was in Scouts at the time, and my Scoutmaster had served in the Japanese Army in World War II. Wow. And we would camp on the beach like 3 weekends out of the month. And so it's like, which is one of the reasons that I'm just hooked on the beach here, because we have just amazing beaches here in St. Augustine.
Wow. And so now you moved around, you did your schooling, and so when did you come to St. Augustine?
Well, you know, my father had lived in South Florida, and I was a builder and developer in Virginia at the time. And I used to travel south to visit with him, and I'd always pull off a highway in St. Augustine, always, for years. I have a degree that gives me nickel knowledge, I've been told. My degree's in history, which I don't use for anything except I love history. So it was originally it was the history of St. Augustine that drew me here.
Right.
And then I found out about the music here. We are so disproportionately rich for artistic people here. And I cannot think of another place where every place you go is really good live music. And you know, you can be a Tuesday night, you walk down the street and there's 20 places to choose from. Where else are you going to find that?
Yeah, that's true. So if you had to describe your job to someone, if someone came up, you're at a bar somewhere and someone says, "What do you do?" How would you describe what you do?
Pretty much whatever I want. But the reality is, I'll give you a profile of this week. Last Saturday and Sunday, I did sound at the Clay County Fair. Then I worked on a forensic case for the Florida State Attorney General's office. Then I worked on a forensic case for a private attorney. It's a long ongoing case. We have a hearing in May. And then I worked with, we shot a video at the amphitheater last Thursday night. So we were working with that group, and I packaged the final mixes off to England last night.
Okay.
And it's all different.
When you say, when we think of forensics, we see one of these shows we watch on TV where there are blood samples and some, but yours is in audio. Well, how would you describe forensics in audio?
Well, I got into it originally in 2005 with audio. And the audio forensics can have several examples. Might be I need to clarify something so that you can get the voices out. It could be I do a lot of work for law enforcement. It could be they got two really bad guys. They put them in the back of a car, take it out on the highway. They get up to highway speeds. They whisper to each other, thinking that we can't knock the sound down. But I'll wire the car, and then I'll use a differential miking system which can phase cancel, and then I can end up pulling some of that out. Sometimes I wire it, sometimes I don't. It could be that we want to find out what's going on at a distance in a 911 case. It could be any number of things with audio. With video, it could be clarification. It could be that there was a robbery and we need to get an enhanced still on the television. It could be that we're trying to, I have a case right now where I'm going to need to measure the speed of a deputy's car in a pursuit. And so I have to go down and measure the markers along the side of the road, signposts and different things. And then I'll have to triangulate and trying to determine that speed. With computers, it could be searching for things, mobile devices searching for things, deleted things.
Which was maybe your most exciting case? Of all the ones you can remember, the first one comes to your head.
There was one, and this was a federal case, there was one in which this guy was, what he had done is he had built bombs and he was putting them into food boxes in Target stores. The plan was from Maine to Georgia, and he was going to try and drive the price of the stock of Target down by setting these bombs off in all of these stores.
My God.
And his accomplice turned on him. So they knew what was going to happen, and they set up a wire. But the wire had problems. And I was able to get more audio definition out of it than the FBI did. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So when you come to music, you have a lot of love for that music of the 60s and 70s.
I do.
Is there anything new now that you like?
It's amazing what's out there now. You know, what the internet has done is it's really leveled the playing field. Because we used to have to rely on radio.
Right.
And radio used to give you what you wanted, but at least for me, it doesn't give me what I want anymore.
Right, right.
And internet radio, I have Sirius XM in my Jeep.
Yes.
But the thing that is most important to me is that now all that formulaic stuff that, if it doesn't fit in this little box, we're not going to release it, that
Right.
a lot of the big labels have, doesn't apply anymore. And you can go onto Spotify and you can find just amazing music.
Yes, yes.
New stuff, some of it, they have genres that have 4 or 5 hyphens in it, and I can't keep up with all of that. I just know if I like it, So
Yeah, I've
It's great
discovered
music out
old
there.
stuff that I didn't know, that Coltrane did this melody and it's something, the Rolling Stones did this sing, or this singer that I know for rock did a jazz album or something like that.
we are, I mentioned earlier, we're really blessed with the people who live in this town. One of them, and he's been a friend of mine now for about, 17, 18 years. His name is Russell George, and he's in his 80s, and he played bass for Sinatra. He played bass for Dizzy Gillespie.
Wow.
He played with Paul Simon. He played with John Denver, Starland Vocal Band. And about every other week, he brings me in like 4 or 5 albums that he's never played, because every time he would cut one as a session player in New York, they'd send him one. So I transfer these on to disc, and I am finding things that are just amazing.
Wow.
And these things are recorded, say, 65 to 80.
Wow.
And of course, most of the albums were not transferred into the catalogs for CD. And it's unfortunate.
Unbelievable.
But, that's just one example of some of the people that are here.
Right. Well, do you think it's changed that much, the world of recording, from say 20 years ago and now recording in a recording studio?
Yeah, I'm looking over here and Duffy is laughing, and I'm sure Chris is too. Back in the day, we worked with tape.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to make an edit, you would have a 2-inch tape, you'd scrub it across the head, you'd find the bad little spot, and where the individual tracks were, and you take a razor blade and you cut that out. Now, imagine how harmful it could be if you cut the wrong thing.
Oh.
But now with the editing capabilities we have, it's really pretty phenomenal. And my personal preference is to use analog everything going into the recording, and once it's in Pro Tools, which is the platform I use, then I just leave it there and I just work within that.
You work with that.
It has changed a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I thank you so much for coming on this show.
Thank you for having me.
And letting us know what you do, and it's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. Let's give a hand.
Thank you, Jorge. Appreciate it.
When we come back after these messages, we'll have our next guest. Thank you, brother.
Yo, Garrett. I'm the owner of Garrett Brothers. My rule of thumb is I don't take anything in this store that I wouldn't have in my own home. We look for unique pieces, things you can't find anywhere around St. Augustine, and we pride ourselves on that. We have more than furniture. We have 1967 Vespa. We have anything that you can think of that would be fun and exciting. You're going to find it here. Sculptures, art pieces. We have a wonderful selection of art. I hear it's like a museum. That's the most common comment that I hear. Love for you to come and see me here, and we'll make you happy.
Okay, everybody, we're back. We're back with our second guest, Michael Lugo. So nice to have you on the show.
Yes, sir.
It's great to have you here. I've eaten your food, and it's some of the best.
So it's good that you're here. So Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you were born where?
I was born in a little town of Arecibo, Puerto Rico.
And it's funny, I went to high school there, and I went to junior high there. Yeah, so I was surprised that there was that connection. Yes. And what are your memories of that time there?
Small, because I was young in Arecibo, but I'd have lots of memories from Puerto Rico, growing up. I lived there till I was approximately 8 and a half, my parents separated and we moved to the States, but I always spent a lot of time in those years, in the summers and stuff like that, still to the time I was through high school. So yeah.
And who would you say started introducing you to food?
During that time, when my parents were figuring out their future, I kind of got to spend a year with my grandma in a little town called Florida, in a little village there.
Beautiful.
And she had a nice little farm, which she milked her own cows. She killed the pigeons. She did a lot of the things that and introduced me to food, and we were making cheese.
How old were you then?
I was 8 years old.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was. I look back at it now. We were sharing when we were talking about it, and I talked to my cousins, and they all said you were the crazy one that liked Grandma's house. But I enjoyed it, and that's why I stuck.
Do you still remember smells of that kitchen? Or
oh man, I mean. I think I'll never enjoy milk the way I enjoyed it. I remember the first time just milking it right to your mouth, things like that. I remember doing crazy things like that, but it was so great. But there was always something going on. There was always, we're either roasting a pig or we're doing something. There was always something, that I remember. Those taste memories always are built through experiences, so that's why I always.
And do you remember anything special that she made that you loved?
That queso fresco was damn good. Nothing beats it when it's fresh like that, and you get it before it's even gotten to the store and evaporated the water. It's just with some nice guava, or even the candied papaya. The dulce de papaya.
Oh, yeah. They're looking. You don't know what you're missing. This is a.
I'm taking them back right now.
So that's awesome. Now you leave Puerto Rico. You're about 8 or 9 when you leave the island. And where do you go?
I lived in Chicago. We lived in Chicago for a couple years, and then transitioned to Tennessee, actually of all places, for a year, and then where I had the formative years in Dallas, Texas, in a little suburb called Grand Prairie.
Another Texan here.
Another Texan. We were proud to see that when we saw them.
So you would have to say that that when you're older, as a teenager, those years, high school, probably college, were in Dallas?
Yes. I always say that, I was born in Puerto Rico, I cut my teeth in Dallas, and then I was raised here because, once you're an adult with responsibilities, when you really get raised, we started our family and everything, started businesses and all that. So, we've lived in, I'm 45, and I'd say I'm pretty even across the board from, living in Puerto Rico, living in Texas, and now living in Florida for 17 years. So, it's really...
have good memories of Dallas?
Oh, I have great. I mean, I've learned everything I know, I think, in those 4
all there?
Yeah. I went, I started the path of cooking real early because, I didn't do any cooking until I got into college. So, I was this guy that was going to play college football, went to go do that until I realized I found the fraternity houses more than the practice field, and that wasn't good for the education. So when I had to go on, and start working for it, I noticed that, I always had this chemistry. I always knew the business angles of it. I understood it. And when I started working in restaurants, I always slowly got promoted to, the head cook or the head manager, and it was because I understood the science of it.
Why cooking? What was the attraction of cooking? Some people go music, some people go...
From the time I was born, from the time I lived with my grandma, I think I've always trying to remember those memories of cooking with family and those memories that she inputted in me. And even to this day at the restaurant, that's kind of how we treat the restaurant. It's an extension of our home. We try to bring people in and make them feel like this is a place where you feel, where you have the best. I always tell people it's like, casual can be nice. You don't have to be casual and be, up over the top. So that's why we never see tablecloths in our restaurant, but you'll see the best stemware, you'll see the best silverware, but we present it in a way where it's like, it's okay to have your hair down, but still eat the best food. You know, not feel like you have to be pretentious at all.
Yes, yes. Food without the pretentiousness.
Yes.
And so now, when did you come to St. Augustine?
2002, when we were planning our wedding, we were going to get married in Puerto Rico. You know, that seemed like a great idea. And then I realized, I told my wife how she was really not going to plan a wedding in Puerto Rico. So her parents lived in St. Augustine, and we always vacationed here for many years. We would come during the spring.
So you knew the city.
I loved the city. It was always like a memory of home because, you know, the little mini fort,
Yes.
you know, we say, you know, here in the street, the cobblestone street. And living in Dallas, we seemed like we were really far away from Puerto Rico. So we had connection on the summers and stuff, but we didn't have connections. And when we lived here, you felt like you were connected. You felt like you're you know, the same Ponce de Leon statue that sits in San Juan sits in our downtown.
Exactly.
So a lot of these memories kind of clicked and made you feel.
He was our governor.
Yeah. So it was a place that I thought was the closest to being towards this journey of finding who I am, you know, as an adult, not as a kid, you know.
Okay, so you come in 2002. Did you already have plans to open a restaurant?
I tried to open a restaurant in Dallas. I mean, this is all, I think, you know, I was 26, 27 years old when this was coming. So, oh, don't worry. I was the, you know, I told you the story. I was the one that at 24 decided the first cooking job. I was like, oh no, I don't want to do your job. I want to hire you. So you know, I did have that, you know, first concept in the works 3 years later by 27, but it just, you know, it didn't make sense in Dallas. The money there is a lot higher than it is here. Everything that's a lot bigger, as they say in Texas. But we knew we wanted to do it, and we knew it wasn't going to happen in Dallas, and we knew we wanted a family. We knew a lot of things. And the minute we said, I do here, we looked at each other and said, we do here. Like, we want to move here. This place is amazing, and we want to come back. We went back to Dallas, put our house in the market. We didn't think it was going to sell right away. It sold within like 4 weeks, and then we had to pack our U-Haul and spend our honeymoon trip coming here instead of Hawaii. Instead of Hawaii, we were supposed to go to Kapalua Villas for a friend's wedding, and we had to cancel that wedding trip because we sold our house. So, and we drove across the country, put everything in storage, went back to Dallas, finished out the season because you know, commitments to restaurant jobs, and then we moved here. And literally spent a year. My wife opened a Curves Fitness franchise north of town, and we did that for a year. And I didn't work in restaurants. We really just got to know, because this business is all relationships.
Did you miss it that year that you worked?
Oh yeah, but I was working it the whole time, not working it. I was meeting people. I was engaging in meeting restaurant owners, meeting vendors.
So you were working on a plan.
Yeah, I was. So I got involved with several local restaurants and decided I want to work. I was a server for 2 years. Just saying, I wanted to touch the guests at the table because I knew once I met the people and knew the people, I could open that restaurant. But unless I knew the town, you couldn't.
So you ended up here where the tasting room is now, which is between, what's that, Cuna?
On Calle Cuna, yeah.
Cuna, that entrance there, but you can also come in through the other side.
Yeah, I always call it the east side of Cuna.
Yeah,
it's the only city in America where a street dead ends to itself, on the opposite directions. Good planning.
So that's where you started, and that's where you still are.
Yeah, so I started at Opus 39 with Michael McMillan and Christine McMillan. And I was their general manager for 3 years and built their business up in a way that, that I finally was fulfilled in what I wanted to do, and I was ready to move on. They really didn't want me to see me leave because we were working so well together, so we decided together to kind of come up with a concept, and that's where the tasting room started.
Oh, wow.
And we did that for about 3 years, and then they had other visions of different things, and I had a vision, where I was going. So we, separated our partnership, and now they're in California, so they're doing well. Wow. And then we kept going with our vision, and here we are 13 years later.
Wine is a big, strong part of your business. You have wonderful wines in that.
It's to me, it's, if you know anything Spanish culture, Italian culture, anything, it's symbiotic. You can't really have food or wine without each other, really, to make them. The wines, the quality of wine is going to enhance the experience of the food, and vice versa. And the word, the tasting room, when it started, was the idea of treating food like wine and wine like food. It was the idea of bringing new tastes, new ideas, because everyone tastes wine, but no one tastes food. Everyone thinks, I get what I get every single time.
Right.
And our saying is not the remember room, it's the taste room, so don't worry about it. If you didn't have it we don't have it again, don't worry about it. We'll have something new for you.
Right.
And we build new flavors, and that's kind of evolved into where we are today, because as all that tasting, all that exploring, made us realize, we're growing, we're changing, we're evolving with the city, with the clientele, with me as a chef, finding my voice, finding our messages.
I run into your food everywhere.
Yeah.
At Asado, I run into your food. That's where the shrimp boats, when they used to be big, they're on Riberia. They have these Argentine ovens, and he'll do events there, and all these ovens will be cooking and there'll be a whole pig being for your birthday. There was a whole pig being cooked there. It was wonderful, and the wine and the food. But you're kind of rebranding your place.
Yeah, well, it's not really. It's coming to age is what I call it. You know, the rebranding.
Well, you've been there, what, 13 years?
13
now?
years. When you start a business with two partners, and over 10 years you haven't been involved with those partners, at some message there's something different about the concept. It's a lot more of Michael than it has been of the tasting room, and a lot of times the confusion comes in. People who've been there 10 years ago or been there 8 years ago, they have a memory, because we all make taste memories. We remember this thing and we put it together. So it's hard to live up to memories that you're not wanting to do again. Or it's not a good or bad thing. It's just we've evolved and grown. My voice as a chef is completely different now than it was 13 years ago, because I've learned more, I've seen more, I've tasted more.
Yeah.
So our direction has really moved towards an eponymous restaurant, you know, and basically a chef-driven restaurant. What we do in the community, from what you mentioned, Urban Estado, I started a chefs collaborative. I noticed there's a void of communication between chefs, a void in a balance.
This problem is with many organizations here.
So what I saw is, you know, I do so many things for different charities. I'm like, why don't I do it for my industry? So I started a group, and now we have over 100 chefs that communicate, collaborate together. They come together just to try recipes, work together, do fundraising, and we basically open that Rolodex. And to me, if I've done so much, to me it minimizes. So, you know, we're transitioning to just straight Michaels. Mm-hmm. We're evolving to the food, more of, you know, influences from Puerto Rico, more influence from my days in Texas. I ran some of the top steakhouses in Texas for 10 years, and I never really represented that in our menu. So now we're going to represent steaks, which is a big void in our market here.
Yes.
And we've been doing it now for kind of a beta test for 5 months, and kind of doing things in plain sight so people didn't see we were doing it. But I mean, people have just been going crazy over the steaks we've been bringing in. We're bringing prime steaks and dry aged meats, and really procuring that. So we still keep the small plates. We're adding steaks, bringing more fresh seafood. It's just, you know, really evolving into a real San Augustine restaurant.
Well, it's funny when I bring your name up in our community. You're known as a man with a big heart. You're known as a man that is kind, generous, who shares, who wants to teach and learn from others. And so whether it's helping Puerto Rico, helping us after Matthew, or you fed a lot of the first responders and things like that. So I admire you very, very much.
Thank you. Well, you know, being a father too, you know, you have to be a role model through actions. And, you know, in our faith, you know, we say that, you know, you don't get from getting, you get from what you give. So, you know, we always... It's not the motivation, but it's the path we've, you know, I don't think I chose it. I think it's just like my career. I think, you know, there's a hand pushing me through it, so.
Yes, I interviewed a gentleman who was 6 years in the Hanoi Hilton, and when I spoke to him, he said, you are defined by what you give, not by what you get. And he learned that 6 years of being tortured. Yeah. So I thank you. We're blessed to have you, my brother.
Thanks so much.
And if you haven't been to the tasting room, you must have fallen down and hit your head at the top. You need to check this place out. It's wonderful. When we'll be back with Daisy Tackett. We're going to laugh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My background is French culinary, so we definitely have a European style to what we do. But I think also we're lucky with what we get around here as far as produce, so we're very spoiled with that kind of thing. Being able to get our vegetables delivered weekly, go out to the farm and pick up our cheese, things like that. So we're very influenced by our environment. Sourcing the way that we do seasonally is definitely something that keeps us creative. It keeps us doing something different every day. And especially now that we've started opening for dinner, it's really kind of going out there and meeting the guy at the dairy farm, meeting the guy that grows our cauliflower. Those are the kind of things that I think make it exceptional.
Her name is Daisy Tackett. She is a comedian, a stand-up comedian. She plays all the clubs here, but she opened for Jerry Seinfeld at Gotham City in New York. So, you know, This ain't chicken liver we're talking about here. All right. So, with no more time ado, I present you with Daisy Tackett.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. I just have to say, Jorge, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, as a fat girl. Because I finally get to show off that personality I've been working on for the last 23 years. So thank you for that opportunity. I want to be the first fat bachelorette. Okay, I've been watching The Bachelor a lot. I want to be the first fat bachelorette. Okay, because there haven't been one yet, and that's a demographic that's very unrepresented. And they always have a gimmick, the bachelorette, when they come out to meet the bachelor. And my gimmick is going to be that I come out in a fat suit that's larger than me. And he goes, eh. And then I rip it off, and he goes, eh. Boom, default win. You know what I mean? I recently graduated from college, and thank you for not clapping, though, because claps don't pay student loans. I graduated from NYU, so my grandparents think I'm a communist. And they're right. Because I think communism would be a great way for me to lose weight. Because you can't get fat if there's no food. My grandparents are pretty wacky people, though. My grandmother is, she's insane. And how insane is she? Well, she had her guns taken away by the state of Texas. Do you know how badly you have to mess up to have your guns taken away in the state of Texas? To have all 50 of your guns taken by the state of Texas? Here's what Grandma Linda did, okay? It's not very pretty, okay? She pulled a gun on an immigrant in a church parking lot. Pretty progressive of Texas, though, when you think about it. Going a little purple there. I think it makes sense. Ted Cruz was kind of sweating. The other side of my family is also pretty wacky. Most of them are flat earthers, and the ones who aren't are gay. In my family, we don't have a gay cousin, we have a straight cousin, and we're really not that sure, though, Like, couple too many pottery classes there, Marcy. I have an uncle. He really bugs me. He's one of the most irritating people I've ever met, and it's so hard to put it into words, okay? So let me rank for you all the 2 worst days of my life, okay? Number 1, getting raped. Number 2, going jeans shopping with my Uncle Todd. Yes, they're comparable. My grandfather, my uncle, he took me to Dillard's under the guise of a shopping trip. And we got to the Dillard's, and he was like, whoa, 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 you have to watch me try on jeans. So he kind of would come out of the dressing room and sort of pose for each pair, and then he would walk around the entire square of Dillard's. And then he would come back and go, not this pair. And then he did it for 70 pairs of jeans. Do you know how long it takes for a man to try on, pose, walk around in, and then comment on 70 pairs of jeans? About 8 hours. You know that smell in a Dillard's? Okay, it permeates your mucous membranes. No amount of neti potting will wash the scent of a Dillard's from your body. Despite my family being a little wacky, they did raise me pretty religious with a lot of Christian values, which is why I can explain the situation I'm about to share with you all, okay? I was at a Ruby Tuesdays, and there was a man sitting with his family at the table next to me, leading, as the patriarch does, his family in a prayer. But the prayer was a little over the top, okay? Lord, you have just guided us here to this Ruby Tuesdays today. You have just given us all your blessings on our onion rings. Like Christmas Eve level prayers, but 2 o'clock on a Saturday at a Ruby Tuesdays, you know. This man clearly thought he was the Billy Graham of a Ruby Tuesdays. So I have a prayer for you all next time you go to, Applebee's. You think you're Pastor T.D. Jakes. Here's a prayer for you to use instead, okay? Yeah. Okay? Everyone, if you could please close your eyes and bow your heads. This is not a joke. Please participate. The prayer will not begin until everyone is participating. Why are you laughing? This is a house of God for the next 30 seconds. Everyone, please, you must participate in the prayer for it to begin. Is everyone ready for the prayer? The prayer is going to start in a quick second here, so just get ready for the prayer. The prayer will be starting in a few moments once everyone is participating. God can see you, and I can see you. Okay, so let's make sure that we're all paying attention to the prayer that will be coming shortly. Okay, here's the prayer. You ready for the prayer? Here's the prayer. Thanks, God. That's all y'all got to do. That's it. Okay? That's it. Now, let me leave you with kind of an unrelated notion, okay? Don't boo. Wait till I finish it, okay? Sometimes y'all like to boo. Don't do that. All men are trash. But some of y'all were going to boo there. Some of y'all are recyclable. Thank you. I'm Daisy Tackett.
Thank you. That was great. That was the amazing Daisy Tackett. We'll be back after these messages.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with Chris and Duffy from the Duffy Bishop Band. You guys were just amazing. So it's wonderful to have you on the show. I mean, so many people, I got so many texts, so many emails, so many phone calls. Are they really going to be there? And I said, yes, they're really going to be there. And so everyone kept calling and saying, are they really going to be there? I said, yes, yes, yes. You guys are amazing, really. You guys are amazing.
Thank you for taking a chance.
You brought half your fan clubs here. You brought half your fan clubs here. So how long have you guys been playing? How long?
Separately or together?
Together.
Since 1983.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
So where were you born, Chris?
I was born in Camden, New Jersey.
Camden, New Jersey. Oh, look at that. All these.
The Garden State.
The Garden State. Yeah, that's the Garden State. Yeah, one friend of mine said, yeah, lots of gardens because there's a lot of bodies under those.
Yeah, right. That's right.
So the Garden State. So and you, Duffy, where were you born?
I was born in Redding, California.
Redding, California. Now, is your name really Chris on your birth certificate?
It is. My full name is John Christopher Carlson.
Okay.
And but I did not know that my first name was John until I was like 7 years old, and I did something wrong, and my mother said, John Christopher Carlson. And I said, who the hell's that? But it's true.
And Duffy, is that your real name?
Patricia Marie Duffy Bishop Carlson.
Wow. It's almost like a Latino, Maria Elena Gonzalez Zapata.
And I left Joan out, the confirmation.
Oh my God! Oh my God! So let me ask you, Duffy. When did you feel that you were starting to be attracted to music? That music was your thing?
From the time I was little, I would sing to myself, and
were your parents musical in any way?
my mom had a very pretty voice. She didn't think she was musical, but I attribute her to teaching me about harmony, because I'd hear her singing harmony with the radio, and I said, "How are you doing that? How do you do that other melody?" And she goes, "Just listen, and in between you'll hear another melody." And so I was a strange kid sitting on my swing set going, okay.
So did she see you sing professionally?
Yes, both my parents did.
Wow.
They still wanted me to do something else for backup,
Yeah. Isn't that typical? Parents always worried about if that doesn't work out,
That's right.
Yeah. And how about you, Chris? How young were you when you started gravitating towards music or musical instruments?
Oh, I think my family actually lived in Nashville when I was young, like 8 years old, 8 to 10 years old. And my brother is 10 years older than me. So he came home from college and he had all these great records. He had Muddy Waters and Robert Johnson and Jimi Hendrix and just these. So I got this stuff early.
Wow.
And he also picked up the guitar and he showed me some chords.
And that's when you started picking up the guitar?
Yeah.
Was that your first instrument?
Yes.
And it still is
Absolutely.
your main instrument?
Yes.
Now, do you play other instruments?
That's enough.
Really?
6. Good God, 6. I play a little cello.
Oh, wow.
It's about this big. But no. But no, guitar is.
Guitar is?
Yeah.
And do you play any instrument?
I
Duffy?
started out playing guitar, but I don't need to play anymore. It's,
Duffy is very good, and she writes on guitar. Writes great songs on
I
guitar.
too had older friends that turned me on to Odetta and Leadbelly and Dylan. And
Okay,
I was
Dylan.
10 years old, and then as I got older, we had Wolfman Jack on the radio that would come through the airwaves.
I remember.
And I just went, it
Yeah.
was, for me growing up in a town like Woodland, which was a farm town, so a lot of country music, which is not bad, but I went crazy when I heard all that music. It just was like, wow!
Someone opens these
Yeah.
doors and you thought you had teddy bears.
Yeah.
Look, oh, they were pink ones, green ones.
That's
yellow
right,
ones. Yeah,
that's right.
yeah. So now, I had a girlfriend from Oklahoma, and she introduced me to country music, and I guess the one that really stuck, that I really came to love, was Patsy Cline.
Oh, yeah.
And once because you create these prejudice with music, and then one day you're on a road trip and there's only one station you can get on the radio, and you have to listen it, and then suddenly you're forced to discover something
very
new.
true.
You say, bluegrass, I never knew it was that beautiful, and it's great. Now, how long have you guys known each other?
Since 1983.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And how did you first meet?
I was working.
We're going to see if the stories go out.
Yeah, right.
I should put you in another room. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I was finishing up a show with a cabaret group, and my partner in the cabaret group said, the guy putting in my cupboard said that they're auditioning someone for a new band, and here's the address, and you can go try out for this band. And it was Cool Ray and the Shades.
That's right.
That was it. So she was auditioning for your band.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in this band called Cool Ray and the Shades,
And there was a guy sitting on the front steps, like letting people into the room, and he said, "Hi, my name's Duff. What's your name?" I said, "My name's Duffy." And he said, "Well, I guess we found the singer for the band." I said, "You haven't heard me."
That's funny.
So he brought me in, and I auditioned, and I got to work with them.
Wow.
and we hired her.
Yeah. So when she just killed it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How were the other people?
I don't remember any other people. I really don't.
Okay. So now you're singing a Cool Ray, and what kind of genre of music are you playing?
It was Motown, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah, it was.
I grew up with a lot of New York
it
City.
Was great.
Yeah,
It was
Motown R&B. Yeah, and we lived in a band house. I
They
mean, there
did,
were like
not me.
5 guys living in this rundown house, and those were the days.
Now, so you grew up listening to a lot of that, Jimi Hendrix, a lot of Muddy Waters, a lot of. Is there any one musician, if you could sit with a musician, dead or alive, and just pick his brain over a beer, who do you think you'd pick?
I don't know. That's
Does
so
anyone
hard.
pop up to the top of
Somebody,
your head?
okay, Charlie Christian.
Okay.
Charlie Christian,
Okay.
the father of electric guitar. Played with Benny Goodman.
Oh.
Just a fantastic player. He was one of the first guys to use the guitar like a horn instead of only doing the Freddie Green thing, chunk chunk chunk, which is beautiful. Also,
Right.
he was doing these
Like Jimi
horn
Hendrix
lines,
doing
improvised lines.
Like Jimi Hendrix doing his machine gun. Machine gun. Dun, 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 dun,
Well,
dun, dun.
yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Hendrix would
appreciate
give props to Charlie Christian as well. Yeah.
Wow. Well, how about you? Was there, if you could pick the brain of a singer or a musician, dead or alive?
I'd love to have met Ray Charles.
Oh, wow. He went to school here.
I know he did.
Yeah.
He could sing anything, any way, any genre of music, and made it uniquely his. And yeah,
It's incredible how someone who's impaired visually, and that also stops you in a lot of other ways. I saw this little kid on YouTube. He's probably 7 years old, playing Bohemian Rhapsody on the phone. And he's blind, and he's doing the singing and the playing. It's amazing. Your blood goes cold. So yeah, to see someone that gifted.
There's so many people, so many great people.
So could you say your band is in a genre of any kind? Or are you kind of eclectic?
We're kind of eclectic. We play blues and show tunes if they'll let me, and
show tunes,
comedy, and
oh wow,
jazz and country. I would say it's very blues based. Although blues purists probably would say we're not a blues band, and that's fine. We like all kinds of music, and so we'll do whatever we.
But isn't
like.
that the same thing with all artists? They stick to something. Everyone doesn't like it. Everyone says it's not. And as he keeps persisting, eventually they say, let's open a category. Let's call it impressionism, geometric, something. And boom, they put them in there just to get them off their back. And so, they're the purists, the orthodox, the traditionalist. And if it's not just like that, then it's not. And
absolutely.
That bores me.
I think it's changed somewhat, though. I mean, when we were young and trying to break in, you really did have to have a category, and they were always saying, "Oh, you're too all over the place." But I think with the internet and people getting to experience music from around the world, there's also been a lot more crossover in music, and people are a lot more willing to listen before they judge.
That's right.
They accept it, and
it's like Jim was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I think people are willing to follow an artist and say, okay, I didn't expect that, but I like this artist and I respect him, so I'm going to go with him.
Yeah. Instead of getting mad at them, like they got mad at Dylan when he used electric.
When he went electric.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is.
It's mind-boggling sometimes. But now, when you guys, I was going to say, your band plays, and you have this really big following. I remember the first time I saw you sing. It was at Colonial Quarter, and I had the camera. It was an event. I don't know if it was Sing Out Loud or something. And I had this Colombian kid with me, and you were there like, this song was like, And I said to him, this woman could sing opera. Because you had all the theatric, with the passion of it. And that song, you sounded like, what's her name? Janis Joplin. and you had that voice, and I thought you were just a real complete package, and the band, you guys were just hanging there with every word, giving her those spaces for her to do her thing, and I was really, so I'm so glad you guys are on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So when you look at the future for your band, where do you think it's going to go?
Oh, let's see. We'll be good playing in the rest home.
Well,
You know, music just takes you different places, and I'm not going to stop until I can't.
Right.
You know,
And someone says, when you love it, I don't really care where it takes me.
Right.
Just let it flow, follow the river, let the river flow, you know.
But it took us to St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Now, do you guys have anything recorded that people can buy?
We have a lot of recordings.
And where would people pick up your stuff?
CD Baby or Amazon.
Our garage.
Or, yeah, I got plenty, that's right. I got plenty of CDs in the garage. But online, go to our website or CD Baby or Amazon or any place like that. But we're about to record, so we're going to do some new recordings in the next 2 months. So hopefully we'll have something out by the end of summer.
Someday.
Oh, wow. Where's your next big gig? Where's your next big gig?
Our next big gig is Dose Coffee and Wine. Where we do the second Saturday of every month.
All right.
And it has become a thing, and our friends come, and it's just great. It's everybody, you know, it's a party.
I love it, and I love it you guys came here. You guys play something for us?
Sure.
Oh, wow. Well, when we come back, the Duffy Bishop Band, get your dancing shoes.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's a lot of fun.
Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number one is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number two would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number three is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number. Y hablamos español.
So great to be here, and yay! And I'd like to introduce the band. Alex Richmond on the keyboards, Richard Wright on the bass, Paul Unsworth on the drums, and Chris Carlson on the guitar. And there you go. Last night I couldn't sleep, and last night I got to dreaming that last night my baby found his way home. All this time that I have been without him, but not once did I ever doubt him that one day my baby find his way home. Well, I pray and I pray, and I pray each day for his safe return. When that day comes, we're gonna sit and talk about the things that we've learned. But tonight, I'm gonna stay up late. That's right. I'm gonna sit and wait, and by daylight, I hope he finds his way home. And I pray each day for that man's safe return. When that day comes, we're gonna sit and talk about the things that we've learned. My only agenda is looking out the window. I wanna see his big feet just marching down my street. I'm gonna keep the candles burning for the day of his returning. We'll have no fear, I'm gonna be here. If it takes a day, a week, a month, or a year, take the high road, take the low road, take the yellow brick, take the 40, take the I-5, the grapevine, the Van Ness, Highway 61 or 20. Whether you've been in North Bend or South Bend or in Toledo, Ohio, hey, you might have been in Baghdad or Kabul or shopping in Bed Fire. Get yourself on the go, a horse, a Harley, a train, a plane, a taxi, a bus, sail a ship, send yourself to the mass, baby. It's gonna be a long, long trip. Fight off the harpies and the hairness and the sirens and the serpents and the devils from the bottom of the sea. I'm your Penelope, baby. When you get back to me, last night I couldn't sleep, and last night I got to dreaming that last night my baby found his way home. Whoa, yeah! Last night my baby found his way home.
Can you go grab my coffee?
Thank you.
Like a buddy of mine used to say, the only word I know is wow. And that was wow. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you to this wonderful band. Thank you to Michael Lugo. Thank you to Jim Stafford, Daisy Tackett. Thank you for you all supporting this great show where we celebrate us as a community. We enjoy, we meet, we learn. There's so much. I bet a lot of you knew this band and didn't know a lot about the stories we heard, right? So that's what this is all about. So thank you again. See you next week. We have another wonderful show. Hope to see you. And they're going to rock the house now.